Hello and welcome to a commentary video on my Wisp playstyle for Eidolon hunting. I'll be going through the basic routine as a lure gatherer during an Eidolon hunt. I'll be using mostly footage from my uploaded Wisp POV and maybe adding a few other cuts from other runs that I've done just to illustrate my points. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. So in this video we'll be going through the routines for the first run, the second run onwards, the last run, and to end the video is just a few questions frequently asked about playing Wisp in general. Alright, so for the first run, normally in a 5 or 6x3 run, we usually allocate about 5 to 6 minutes before nightfall to stack Void Strike. This is what we call the pre-charging phase, where each VS takes turn shooting each Eidolon, the order being Trin first, and then Volt, and then Harrow. However, pre-charging is not really necessary if you did not have time to pre-charge in your squad. Just shoot all the shields together like what you would normally do in the second run onwards. When night falls, wait for a few seconds after your DPS has left the gate to get his first lure, then dash towards the hill. A set of 3 Vomps should normally spawn around the area. Mark them if you see them, if you don't, just head towards the Terrorist. Dash the Terrorist head, proc Shadow, take the first shield, and then go and get your first lure.
Energy spike. I advise falling back. That device is insufficient. You are directed to secure and deploy additional Eidolon lures. Next, you attempt to take control of it. Those devices draw energy from the bomb.
After this shield is down, I'm going to get my second lure.
Energy spike. I advise falling back.
I will then park the 2 lures that I gathered just now for the DPS to pick up to charge them, and I will then shoot the remaining 2 shields. After the last shield is down and the last limb is broken, I will then go and get my other 5 lures. Now for the remaining 5 lures that you need, I usually follow 3 routes depending on the terrorist spawn. I will show you in the next clips. This is the first route that I normally follow if the Eidolon spawns within that circle.
Those devices draw energy from the bomb ballists. Make use of them.
This is the second route that I normally use if the Eidolon spawns around that green circle.
There's sentient energy spike in your area. I advise you to be careful.
And this is the final route if I use
Now,
when the Eidolon
a
spawns
massive
really
sentient
far away.
energy spike in your area. I advise you to be careful.
So yeah, those are the 3 routes that I normally use to get my lures when I'm playing Wisp. And now back to the video where I show you the loop, the route being used. So once I have all my 5 lures, make sure that you empty your VS stack if you have any remaining. Make sure you charge all 8 again instead of having like, I don't know, 1 or 2 stacks remaining. So yeah, make sure you empty your stacks. And also make sure that your DPS has all his lures charged before going under the terrorist to pick up the remaining bombs. Head to the shrine. Normally I place the speed mode towards the place where you put the shards, just so that the DPS can benefit from the speed buff when going towards the next phase, which is the Cantolis phase.
Energy spike. I advise falling back. That device is
Once the Cantolis spawn, head towards where he spawns and don't forget to place your 2 modes, which are the health mode and the speed modes for your DPS to use. So normally in the first run, if you guys manage to pre-charge, the Volt can solo the Cantolis shields, and you can use this time to charge your other lures. But one thing I'd like to emphasize here is that let's say you bring more than 1 lure charge towards the Cantolis and your lure is tethered to the Cantolis first instead of the DPS lure, like as you can see in this video. Make sure that you leave that lure with your DPS before heading off to charge your other lures. This is because sometimes if the limb breaks and your lure is tethered to the limb, and if you move away, the link will break and this may cause a teleport sometimes. So yeah, make sure that you do not bring any tethered lures while looking for the Vombalist to charge your remaining lures. Hope that was clear.
energy spike. I advise falling back.
I will show you guys in a bit the normal locations that I look for bombs based on the spawns of the Cantolis. And make sure that by the time the last limb breaks, head under the Eidolon to look for any remaining bombs to charge your remaining uncharged lures. Yes.
Sentient energy contained. You are closing on victory. Act now.
After the Cantolis headshot, head towards the shrine, and normally if you have 3 lures, hold 1 lure for your DPS to pick up, so that leaves you with 2 remaining lures for the rest of the hunt. Normally I mark the lure tethered to the first limb broken as ally. This lure will contain the loot later, and The DPS will then pick up the lure once the hunt is done to then teleport it towards the gate. Also, don't forget to place your speed and health modes. As the Hydralisk starts to stand up, you can help your DPS by shooting a few Propas under him to clear any Vombalists. As sometimes the Gantolisk may force, no, not the Gantolisk, the Hydralisk will force a shield recharge, and you don't want that to happen if you want your runs to go fast. So that concludes the first run routine, and next we'll be moving on to the second run onwards, and you'll be repeating the same routine for the next runs until the last run before sunrise. So for the second run, once you are loaded into planes, dash towards the hill, mark any bombs if you see them, and head towards the terrorist.
And now, a massive sentient energy spike in your area. I advise you.
As you can see in this clip, I took a lure before heading towards the terrorist, and it's totally up to you how you want to do your lure gathering routine. You can either take a lure before the first shield or after the first shield. Just make sure that in the event where your DPS fails to charge the first lure, make sure your lure is not near the terrorist so it doesn't steal the Vombalist dropped by the terrorist. So after the first shield is down, I will go grab my next lure. As you can see in this clip, I found some Vombalists near the lures, and if you have the time, you can kill them so that you can charge your lures. And let's say you're not in time for the shield, just grab another lure and head back towards the terrorist. This is another clip where instead of taking the first lure before the first shield, I take my first lure after the first shield is down. And as you can see in this clip, my DPS is so kind to take another lure so I can save one cipher.
Energy spike. I advise falling back. That device is insufficient. You are directed to secure and employ additional Eidolon lures. Next, you attempt to take control of it. Energy spike. I advise falling back.
So just do the same thing as for the first run. Get your 2 lures, help in the shields, and once the last limb of the terrorist is broken, go grab your 5 lures, and the routine is basically pretty much the same from Gantolisk towards Hydralisk. Alright, so the next clips I'm going to show you are the spots where I normally go to look for bombs to charge my lures. There are 4 possible spawns looking from the shrine perspective, which are the close right, the close left, the mid spawn, and the far spawn. So these are the spots that I normally go to if the Gantolisk spawns in the close right or the mid spawn. There are 2 spots I normally go to, which are the far spawn, as you can see in this clip. And if I don't see any bombs, I will look then at the hill, the place where we dash towards to once we load into planes. There should be bombs there normally. Make sure to allocate yourself like 30 seconds to look for bombs, and don't forget to return to the Gantolisk on time so you do not delay the run. And finally, these are the spots I go to if the Gantolisk spawns on the close left or the far spawn. I normally head towards the camp area to look for bombs, and this is where you usually find them. One thing that I would like to point out is in case you have problem charging lures or you're not familiar with the bomb spawns, there are 2 alternatives. The first being that you skip one or two shields to go look for bombs to charge your lures, and the other being leaving 1 to 2 lures with your DPS and asking the DPS to help you charge the lures while you go look for the bombs to charge your own lures. It's up to you if you're not familiar with charging the lures. I would recommend doing this if you just started learning how to play Wisp, and I recommend also to not depend too much on using these two alternatives since you're the lure manager. The lures are your responsibility. So you're approaching sunrise, which is the last run. Congratulations! Just follow the same routine as the previous runs during Terrorless. Get 2 lures, drop them off for your DPS, and grab your remaining 5 lures once the Terrorless is down. And during this phase, let's say there's not much time left before sunrise, skip the shields and go charge your lures. So to end the video, here are a few frequently asked questions, I assume. So first question, when do I get my first lure? Is it before or after Terrorless first shield? In a 4-man squad, I used to take a lure before going to Terrorless, but I think it's better if you get a lure after the first shield is down. As you can see in this clip, in a 3-man squad for example, my DPS couldn't charge the lure on time before getting to the Terrorless. So by skipping the first lure, your DPS can take the bomb dropping from the Terrorless.
Energy spike.
But at the end of the day, it's up to you. In a 4-man squad, you can either take a lure before or after the first shield. However, in a 3-man squad, you always take the lure after the first shield.
Next, you attempt to take control.
Other frame options as lure gatherers, it's up to you. Personally, I think you can use any frame you want as a lure gatherer. But since hunting is a team game, just discuss with your team beforehand if you are using a non-meta frame. The meta frames used in Eidolon hunts I think are mainly Wisp, Trinity and Rhino. Wisp is considered meta for now after the Itzal blink change, as she compensates for the blink cooldown with her speed mode. If you just started learning to be a lure gatherer, I would recommend using Trinity as she can heal lures. Rhino is mainly used for meme runs or steel puff runs. How do I kill bombs while charging VS? If you notice in the video, I kill bombs mainly by dashing them with the Mother Eye Flame skill and also using Contagion as it does not consume a VS stack. Next is positioning as Wisp. I would like to point out that towards the standing up phase for each Eidolon, if you are teleporting your lures back towards the Eidolon, avoid standing directly beneath the Eidolon. Sometimes the lures take a little bit longer to teleport back as they treat the Eidolon as an obstruction, and the game takes time to redirect them to an empty available spot on the ground, so try to stand near them but not too near them. So you just started hunting, should you just jump into Wisp straight away? Personally, among the 3 VS roles, the other 2 being Volt and Harrow, I think Wisp is the hardest to play. You have to manage both your VS and lures at the same time. I would recommend playing Wisp once you are comfortable playing the other 2 VS roles first. Playing Wisp or as Lure Gatherer is not only about taking and charging lures, you have to help shoot the shields also. If you made it this far into the video, thanks for watching. I tried to make the video as short and brief as I could while trying to explain the subtle details and mechanics in playing Wisp for Eidolon hunts. If I missed out anything, do let me know in the comment section below. Questions are welcome too, if you have any. Yeah, so I guess that's about it. So this is my video sharing and commenting about my playstyle in Eidolon hunting as Wisp. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next one.